Alrighty. Let's continue with some writing. Wait, hold on. Got my mug. All right. Let's continue. For a short bit. I don't know how long we'll have, but I guess we're like halfway through the game. Makes sense with the bar. Night is falling over Anizot. The stifling heat gives way to an eagerly anticipated freshness. After a day at work, you stroll home at a leisurely pace. You turn down a side street that you have known since you were a little boy. It is as if your legs are acting of their own accord, bringing you to the place of your childhood play, the remnants of the wooden fort. So much has changed since the days when you used to play here with your little friends. Engrossed in your memories, at first you fail to notice that you're not alone here. A tall figure in the uniform of a Legion officer approaches you. You see unruly brown hair and a twinkle in his eye. It is Tomas. Now that's a surprise. Hi, Brante. Fancy running into you the moment I'm back in town. Your childhood friend puts his arms around you. Our battalion got transferred here recently. We're under the command of the Magra Legion now. I'm keeping the peace and maintaining order in my very own province. Well, why don't we catch up? Let me buy you dinner. We'll have a little chat. Remember the old days. Tomas cuts himself short. You suddenly notice how much older he looks. His face has become sharper and rougher, and his eyes are filled with exhaustion rather than their usual mischievous sparkle. I should warn you though, Robin. I ain't the best company nowadays. I've managed to get myself some powerful enemies already. I am a friend who could taint your good name. So if you'd rather not be seen with me, well, I understand. The smile on his face starts to fade. Fuck no. Let's have dinner. You give Tomas your hand. You shake hands firmly. So you haven't forgotten your old friend, Brante? That's the way it ought to be. Well, come on then. You go to a tavern reminiscing about your childhood antics on these very streets along the way. You choose a table in the far corner of the tavern. Tomas orders a bottle of good wine and some food. You talk about your latest case, about your first years back in Anizot. You share family news, your quest to become nobles of the sword, the quarrels between your elder brother and sister, your mother's health. Tomas nods with concern. Sounds like you've had some tough times. Your family has always been different. Mine, on the other hand, is the same as it ever was. My pa is always in his workshop, and my ma's always doing chores. But look at me. I came home a service-class nobleman, although it doesn't bring me much joy anymore. Tomas is suddenly grim. You ask your old friend to share his troubles with you. He quickly glances around the room and lowers his voice. Well, I am a captain in the Magran Legion now. And who's our commander? His Excellency Dorius Otten. That's right, I serve under the very same Arknian whose toes I stepped on back in Eterna. And you better believe he remembers me. I'm afraid things are gonna end real bad. Oh. Wait, you stepped on his toes? I don't remember him doing anything with him at all. I was the only one who was there. Oh. He got into trouble with him in Eterna. Oh. Okay. Yeah, the guy is an asshole. You better believe he remembers me. I'm afraid things are gonna end real bad. But hey, I'll figure it out somehow. Don't trouble yourself over it. Apart from that, well, it's the usual service. We impose order in uppity towns and villages, protect the province, that sort of thing. And we run drills all day long, obviously. If only you knew how sick I am of them barracks, Robin. I've thought about starting a family. My ma keeps telling me to find a nice girl to marry. She says it's high time I got hitched. It is completely dark and you are still talking. Finally, Tomas remembers that his parents are waiting for him. You get up from the table, leaving some dirty dishes and quite a few empty bottles behind. On your way out, you catch a glimpse of a nondescript figure following you to the door. As you walk alongside Tomas, through your home neighborhood, You keep glancing over your shoulder, but the shadow that was following you has disappeared. You reach your street and stop for a while in the semi-darkness between your family homes, just as you used to all those years ago. Bye, Brante. I hardly ever come to Anizalt these days. Our battalion is always on the march all over the province, but twins willing, we'll see each other again real soon. You advise your friend to safeguard his every life. Yeah, that's true. He does have multiple lives. Reputation -1. That's bad. That's bad. Our family is going into the gutter. As the Archduke and Overseer fight for power in Magra, the common people bear the brunt of their conflict. Incensed speeches begin to fill the city. The temple by the White Tree seems to be the only place in the city free from the endless talk of taxation. Today, the worshippers in the temple are few, all of them poor people from nearby districts. Some thank the twins for the peace they have brought to the world. Some beg for a sign from above. One little boy is on his knees praying for prosperity. He has yet to learn that it is an error to rely on the twins' aid even as you pray, for they are not our servants, but the rulers of this world. You approach the altar, bow your head, and whisper a prayer for unity in the Brante home. O Elder, the spirit of truth and love, I thank thee for my family. Aid them, and let them abide in peace and tolerance. Though our woes may hide the gift of thy love, may we never refuse thy bounty. To your sorrow, the strife in your family home has proven to be far worse than you had expected from the letters. You never thought the quarrel between Gloria and Stepan would go this far. The temple gradually fills with people as noon approaches. Midday is the hour of the sermon. A priest steps up to the altar, leaning on a staff. The trim of his white cassock is embroidered with gold. He bears a book at his side entitled Lives of the Twins. It is rarely quoted even among religious scholars. Most of the faithful rely on the teachings of Isacius. You recognize this man from the sacred conclave, Abbot Leonard. Brothers and sisters, today I shall speak of the new faith, of its nature and its meaning. Many among you already know it in your hearts, but now I seek to find the words to help you understand it with your minds. For our hearts and minds alike forever seek the path to the twins. We have all known the doctrines of the old belief and the teachings of Isacius since childhood. Prophet Isacius, who lived more than thousands years ago, who lived more than 8,000 years ago, wrote that the twins granted us all 3 lots to govern us. And 3 lots there are, one for each estate of the empire, nobles, commoners, and priests. And so more than 8,000 years, we have lived by these lots. By the teachings of Isacius, for it is said that, as you follow your lot, you are brought closer to the twins, and after the true death that awaits us all at the end of the path, we shall be brought to the peak of the shining pillar. But now I implore you to look at the blessed Archnean Empire. What was it like during the time of Isacius? What is it like now? Nowadays, no commoner may live by the sweat of his brow alone. In his home and in his trade, even a commoner must lead and rule. And what of the nobles? Their lot commands them to fight. But where will they fight, if the blessed Archnean Empire now extends from sea to shining sea? Even all her enemies are gone. The lots of Isacius were once our path to the twins, but now they have become our shackles. Can you ever reach the peak if you watch a path that is impassable? The law that Isacius gave cannot say. The old belief has no more answers for us, only questions. I have been a priest for over 30 years, and every day I have considered this question and found no answers. That is, until Mentor Fotis appeared. Fotis said, "He who breaks beneath the burden of his lot shall be guilty of the worst sin of all, the sin of rejecting the twins. Is this how we are to reach the peak of the pillar? Is this what the twins want from us? And Fotis said, if the empire in which we live has changed over time, should not the faith change along with it? And the new faith says, do not confuse your worldly life and the estate into which you were born with your spiritual life, where each of us must find the twins on his own, and so may every person find his own lot, his own path to the twins. If a noble must suffer in order to purify his heart and fill it with the love of the twins, then such is his path. And if a commoner enjoys the fruit of her labor and thanks the twins for their gifts, then let this be her path to the top of the shining pillar. The priest's calling is to offer guidance so that each of us can find his way to the twins, to their law, will, and love, and thus bliss in the hereafter. Many servants of the church still persevere in their rejection of the new faith. They find it difficult to reject what they have long considered to be the unshakable foundation of all existence. They find it difficult to face the truth. Let us pray to the twins that the guiding light of the new faith will find them as well. Most people in the temple kneel and bend their heads in silent prayer. The abbot prays along with them. Some, however, remain on their feet. These people shake their heads with expressions of distrust and disapproval. The sermon ends. You feel it is time for you to leave, but then you notice the abbot motioning for you to stay. He walks up to you with a smile, as if seeing an old friend. He gestures for you to sit on a pew. Inquisitor Robin, we have not been introduced yet. I am Father Leonard, but you probably know that by now. How do I know you? Why, it's no miracle. A good friend of mine, Augustine Elborn, told me about you. He's a friend of your family. Sir Elborn is a long-standing follower of the new faith, and I have taken it upon myself to act as his counselor in matters of the faith. That is certainly good to know, but what does Abbot Leonard want from you? I am aware that the Inquisition has come to Magra to investigate a report against Patriarch Cassius. I am aware of this because I was the one who wrote the report. You stare at the abbot in surprise. What could possibly have motivated him to do this? You see, the Patriarch and I have known each other for many years. We used to engage in debates quite often, on the nature of the twins, on the teachings of Isacius and Fotis, on the paths that serve to guide people to the peak. For all those years, matters such as these were of great concern to Cassius. He used to remember the purpose of his service at all times. He used to truly care for people. But now, something has changed him. As he is now, all Cassius desires is power. His sermons are filled with lies and pretense. He has gained the support of the old believers, and now he accuses us of apostasy and heresy against the twins. But in truth, he serves the twins no longer. Well, you are a heretic, so I mean, our opinions often differed, but my most recent conversation with Cassius left me terrified. I expected him to accuse the new faith once again of straying from the true path to the peak, but the Patriarch suddenly questioned the importance of guiding people to the twins at all. The Patriarch of Magra, of all people, told me this, Robin. The man who addresses the twins in the name of the entire congregation. The man who must be the embodiment of purity and virtue for his flock. I wrote my report and sent it to the Order immediately after we spoke. I am glad to see you got here so quickly. But if you ever find the proof of my words, what will you do? What awaits Magra if the sacred tribunal of the Inquisition condemns Cassius? You may have noticed the delicate situation in our province by now. Magra is the birthplace of the new faith, and many worshippers have been eager to take the teachings of Fotis to heart. And yet, the priests in Magra remain deeply bound by the old traditions. Can you imagine the chasm of misunderstanding that now separates the clergy from their flock? And yet, should Patriarch Cassius be cast out of the faith, the conclave will most likely elect another ardent old believer in his place. The gulf between the clergy and the fold, the old faith and the present day, it will only grow deeper. In my opinion, however, that there is another way out. It is my opinion, however, that there is another way out, which is why I must beg you for your aid. Tell me, if you may, what is the foundation of every faith and beliefs? Every faith and belief. It's not books or rituals or temple. It's people. Our church has forgotten this. But it is the people who must choose the guide they will follow to the shining pillar. I know you came to Anizot to weed out heretics and apostates, but I am begging you, please do not judge in haste. The fear of punishment paralyzes those who are on the way to the new faith. Please allow them to seek answers on their own. They might stumble along the way, but this is the price we must pay to blaze our own trail. And, when all is said and done, the new faith will be our salvation, for Magra, for the Empire, for every person who lives within it. I will help Father Leonard. You see a kernel of truth in Father Leonard's words. If you grant people the opportunity to seek the peak of the pillar on their own, they will be able to form a new church and find new faith in the twins. And this new faith will not be imposed upon them, but will come from their own hearts. You promise to show mercy to those who seek their own path, to the elder and the younger. You promise to help the young faith grow stronger and find answers where the old faith could not. When it comes to electing a new patriarch, it must be done by the people, not the clergy, who are entrenched in antiquated, outdated tradition. Father Leonard smiles and offers you his hand. Thank you, brother. May the truth reveal itself to you. May it fill you. You look at him intently. After a long pause, you tell him that the truth is to follow the path of the twins with a pure purpose and an open heart. They need nothing more, and neither do you. Today is a big day for the Brante family. The day your family line started. The day when you remember all your ancestors. Tonight, everyone who bears the name Brante must descend into the family crypt to keep vigil by the tombs. This is the time to surrender yourself to your ancestors and hear their will. The entire family prepares for the event in silence. Stefan has been choosing his apparel since morning, praying anxiously under his breath all the while. The heir has a special place in the family vigil. Even Mother is planning to go with you, though Father tries to talk her out of it. Lydia, I beg of you, stay home. You are far too weak for an all-night vigil in the crypt. Gloria, would you be so kind as to stay with your mother, since you cannot, join us anyway? Gloria answers in a muffled voice. As you wish, Sir Robert. The late Sir Gregor would only be enraged to see Mother there. We all remembered how their last encounter ended. Father nods curtly, avoiding Gloria's gaze. But at that moment, your attention is drawn to a noise in the foyer. Nathan staggers through the door, stumbling over his own feet. He reeks of cheap wine and filth. I'm not, late, am I? Everyone gazes at him in consternation. Nathan almost falls into Mother's and Gloria's arms. Distressed, they fuss over him. Stefan eyes his younger brother coldly. I expected nothing more of you, Nathan. Why even speak of duty to your family when you can't even manage to live by the commoner's lot? Go lie down in the pantry and stay out of our sight. Father, Robin, it's time. Let's go. Alongside Father and Stefan. You descend into the family crypt. You cannot help but remember paying your last respects to your grandfather 9 years ago. You light the lamps. Dim, eerie flames illuminate the shrine. In the middle of it stands a magnificent stone tomb containing the long-decayed remains of Gregor Brante. You take your places around the crypt and kneel. The all-night vigil has begun. At first, your ancestors remain silent. Each of you is left with their own thoughts. Then a low murmur passes around you. The shadows in the corners of the room deepen. The voices grow stronger. You know that the ancestors of Gregor Brante, long-forgotten commoners whom you never knew, are trying to talk to you. But now a memory of them has come to life in the darkness of the crypt. They are pleading for something, demanding it of you, calling out to you, screaming. Finally, you hear all that painfully familiar, Finally, you all hear that painfully familiar, deep, imperious voice echo from the far end of the chamber. It's been a long time since I've seen you all. I hope you bear good tidings. All this time I've been waiting for you to fulfill my mission. Remember, as long as I am your blood, I will give you no peace. I did not have my family ennobled just to see our line cut short. Our blood tide must join the grand flow of the Empire, and then each of my descendants will inherit nobility forever and ever. But I do not see any of you before my tomb. Where are you hiding? Where is the head of our family, the man who will speak to me? Where is the man who will heed my will? Father rises from his knees and makes his way toward grandfather's stone tomb, the source of that booming voice. But Stefan suddenly pushes him out of the way. Father takes an indignant step forward, but Stefan firmly bars the way. Stop it, Stefan. You are my heir, but you are not head of this family. Father, it is not you that Sir Gregor is addressing. Earning the nobility of the sword is my duty to him. He has long forsaken any hope of seeing you achieve it. You must understand that I am the one who will fulfill that duty. Stefan does not let him pass. Father breathes heavily in anger. You can all but feel the frantic beating of both their hearts resonating somewhere within you. Both your father and brother seem to have forgotten that you are here too. Even the restless voices of your ancestors have grown hushed, waiting for the outcome of this confrontation. Yes, side with father, obviously. You block Stefan's way. Your ponderous voice fills the dark crypt. You demand that your brother step back. The head of your family is your father, Robert Brante, and so it will be as long as he lives. Could your brother have forgotten that it is part of the noble lot to acknowledge and honor seniority? Your father is the man who must hear and accept your ancestors' will. Stefan tries to maintain his composure, but even in the dark you can see his face twitch. Brother, you don't understand. I'm not defying father's seniority, but I am the man who bears this duty to our grandfather. I cannot remain a mere witness while the future of our blood tide runs through our fingers. You resolutely push your brother to one side. Whether he wants to or not, he will give way to the head of the family. Father catches his breath and approaches grandfather's tomb. So it's you, Robert. Have you come to disappoint me yet again? Stefan is right. I have not put my hopes in you for quite some time. If anyone will lead the Brante family to glory, it will be my grandson. Stefan clenches his fists and whispers something to himself. I am doing my utmost, father. We are closer to becoming nobles of the sword than ever before. The overseer looks upon us with favor. Just a couple more years and your dream will come true. This must be your dream too, Robert. But you still cater to your foundlings, Lydia and Gloria, risking a permanent blemish upon the Brante name. My name. Dead though I may be, my will lives on. Heed it at last. Get rid of that parasite Gloria, and devote yourself to your true family. Otherwise you will lead our family to shame and ruin. Father hesitates for a moment. No, father. This is impossible. Even if I must defy your will, I am responsible for Gloria. My honor and my conscience will not allow me to do what you demand. You must accept this, or keep on fighting me for all eternity. The voice of your deceased ancestor fades away. He seems to have left this realm, but then his voice suddenly booms from the other side of the crypt. Stefan, you are the heir of this family. Your duty by blood is to earn us a place in eternity. Do not take after your spineless father. Do what must be done. Cleanse our family of wickedness. Stefan is shivering. He replies in an unsteady voice. But, Gloria, I can't. Stefan checks himself. I will do my duty to my family, Sir Gregor, whatever the price I will pay it. The crypt is completely silent once more. You are alone again. You see tears glistening on Stefan's face. Without uttering a word, he goes outside. Father clasps his arms firmly around you. You feel him let out a sigh of sorrow and relief. The vigil is over. Perfect unity in our family, but then why do I feel like he's going to kill Gloria tomorrow? Your work for the day is finally done. You hurry to the family home, where peace and tranquility dwell again at last. Still, you have grown used to the idea that this peace could be disturbed at any moment. As you enter, Father walks down the stairs to greet you. He smiles, happily and warmly. Robin, my dear son, you're spending so much time at work. Look, you can barely stand. You need some rest. Please, stay at home with us for a while. Surely your work can wait. You've earned yourself a moment of respite. You consider his words for a moment and agree. Overjoyed, Father takes your hand and leads you into the sitting room. You spend several days resting in the family home, where your troubles are distant and your family is close. They tell you their news. You carefully share yours. You spend the evenings together on the porch, just like in the good old days, listening to Father's stories of your family's history, sharing laughter over memories of childhood. It is late now. Cicadas buzz quietly in the garden. The windows of the bedrooms glow with a warm light. You recline in a wicker chair with a glass of good wine. There's no place like home. Just +1 with everyone. Actually, OP. The ward of the Magran Inquisition has little space for dungeons in which to detain and question suspects. Just a handful of underground cells with tiny windows and heavy doors. You and Jean are standing in one of them, facing a man accused of heresy. 2 days of questioning have yielded nothing. This man was distributing books containing a distorted version of the teachings of Isacius. The teachings themselves were intact, but the books also included comments that openly criticized the foundations of the old faith. To set up a clandestine print shop for such blasphemous books, one needs powerful connections and money. This could be your chance to track down a heretical sect of considerable power. The man is on a rack. Rope is wrapped tightly around his wrists, turning them a deep shade of blue. Jean has treated the prisoner with patience and mercy. She has forbidden the use of torture, in an effort to prove to the man that his silence is pointless. You hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Inquisitor Ulrich enters the room. He has refrained from interfering in your investigation for 2 days, but it seems his patience is at an end. You and Jean welcome your mentor. With a curt nod, he walks past you and examines the man upon the rack. Slowly, he shakes his head. I see you are in need of my aid and guidance. Remove him from the rack and put him in a chair. You humbly do as he says, while Ulrich takes great care in selecting the proper tool for what is to come. When the man is finally seated, the Inquisitor steps closer. Sharp steel flashes, and the severed tip of the man's pinky falls to the floor. The man lets loose a blood-curdling scream. Father Ulrich severs the finger down to the knuckle. Well, where is the print shop? The man shrieks and curses at him. Father Ulrich walks around the chair. The prisoner's eyes bulge in terror. The Inquisitor removes the man's ear with a precise cut. The prisoner howls in pain, shivering, convulsing. Blood streams down his neck, forming a dark brown stain on his plain shirt. Jean is stone-faced as she watches it happen. Ulrich is utterly dispassionate, every bit as calm and calculating as before. This manner of corporal punishment is an everyday occurrence for him. The Inquisitor continues to torture, repeating the same question over and over again in the same tranquil voice. The prisoner will not stop convulsing, but he says nothing. 10 finger joints now lie scattered around the floor of the room. Streams of blood trickle down the stone slabs. Ulrich reaches for a hammer. Finger bones are brittle. There's a crack, then a scream, then sobbing. The knees are next. The prisoner will not stop screaming. Between the howling and the tears, his lips are sealed at last. His lips are unsealed at last. He begs for you to stop. He will tell you everything. The print shop is in Solmina, a small mining town in eastern Magra. The prisoner tells you exactly where it is hidden. Jean writes it down. Father Ulrich walks over to a wash basin. He pours some water on his blood-stained hands, then carefully wipes them dry. He glares at you and Jean. Never pity a heretic. They deserve neither compassion nor your mercy. Sister Jean, finish him off. A lesser death is a fitting punishment for his crimes. Father Ulrich, forgive me for my impudence, but this man's fate must be determined by a tribunal. Sister, I have personally sentenced him to lesser death for his sins. The tribunal is a mere formality, a senseless waste of time, just like your attempts to convince him to speak. Forgive me, but I refuse. You and I belong to the same lot. You are not a noble. You cannot give me orders. You're far too arrogant for a girl barely out of the seminary. Father Ulrich's voice rings like hardened steel. Jean meets his gaze defiantly. The prisoner is sobbing quietly, still shackled to the chair. I mean, I guess he's wrong, right? Like, he's obviously in the wrong. He's actually corrupt. I just feel like I should probably support her. It's one of these cases where it's like, do I build reputation with him to make him trust me so I can take him down? Or do I support Jean now so that we can take him down together? Because I think those are like the two options here. I'll support Jean. After considering the quandary, you say that there is already a proper punishment for every wrongdoing. To carry out a sentence here and now would be murder, and such violence would be in defiance of your priestly lot. Father Ulrich stands erect. His gaze moves from Jean to you. Tell me, is your indecisiveness motivated by fear or pity? I advise you to consider which of these is more ruinous for an inquisitor. Remember this, the rules and laws of the order were all written by men. We, however, fight those who seek to undermine the very law of the gods. But have it your way, a tribunal will decide this man's fate. With that, Ulrich turns and leaves the dungeon. You summon the acolytes to take the prisoner back to his cell. When you are done, Jean looks at you with resolve. The younger is the law, the order, the form. What? The younger is the law, the order, and the form. To serve the twins is to obey and protect the law. I am glad to see you understand that. Two days later, the prisoner is burned at the stake. Father Ulrich insisted that the heretic be sentenced to true death. Jean attempted to appeal the sentence, but the Inquisition tribunal stood with Ulrich. You watch the execution take place in the yard of the Inquisition ward. The prisoner's howling under torture seems quiet compared to his screams of agony as he is consumed by the flames. You cannot look away from his burning body. His death comes slowly. Killing him yourself 2 days ago would have been a mercy. We don't lose or gain any reputation or any relationship with Ulrich. He's stone cold. Just a few days into the year, Mayor... His name is Mayor? Mayor Egmont, chairman of the Lesser Quorum and owner of several silver mines, made a speech that caused quite a stir in the province. Though a commoner, Egmont had the gall to demand that the Magran authorities both enforce and obey imperial law. What's the use of the imperial laws if they aren't enforced as they should be? Even today, any Anizot nobleman who gets up on the wrong side of the bed can draw his sword and run a commoner through with impunity. These gentlemen may be our rulers, but does that mean they can defy the Emperor's will? Sir Elborn has been appointed to enforce the rule of law in Magra. How come the prefect doesn't see this? We commoners aren't trying to seize the noble lot and take over the province, but the rule of tradition is a thing of the past. This is the age of justice. We may not all be equal in its eyes, but even the nobles and clergy must obey the law. The Magran aristocracy is furious that Egmont and demands that he be silenced, but the rich industrialist has too much power and too many connections to be dealt with so easily. You hear more and more rumors about secret societies of commoners appearing in the city, plotting against noble rule. The gentry fears that Egmont and his peers might be behind this, but they have no proof, at least for now. Father Leonard, abbot of the Temple of the Silver Tree and leader of the New Believers, support Egmont and has spoken publicly in his favor. The twins themselves entrusted the noble estate with the right to rule over the common folk, but rulers must also care for their subjects. The old faith is mistaken. No commoner should ever be forced to suffer. It is for this very reason that the imperial law exists. It's there to ease the people's suffering. May those laws be duly enforced, and may they serve all the people of the Empire. That's true. The first days of spring. It is early morning. The carriage bounces over a pothole on the road, jolting you awake. The village of Salmina is already on the horizon. You are close now. You travel alone, escorted only by David Agarnim and his champions of faith. Father Ulrich was so intent on denying Jean the chance to investigate the print shop that he called for an Inquisition tribunal meeting for this very purpose. Your mentor thought you better prepared for the journey to Sulmina, and the other Inquisitors stood by. Furious as she was, Jean had no choice but to accept the tribunal's decision. She saw you off before your departure. Not one for affectionate farewells, she gave you a stern admonition instead. Remember, only the clergy may preach and interpret the words of the sages. Such is our lot, and the burden of the priestly estate. We are the ones who are educated and trained to guide laymen to the righteous path. A commoner or noble who expostulates on the twins is thus guilty of defying their lot, and shall suffer at the foot of the shining pillar for all eternity. The books from this accursed print shop pose a grave danger to every member of the noble and common estates. I am counting on you, Robin. Make those apostates pay for what they've done. The carriage shakes as it rolls down the bumpy Magran high road. You pass the time before your arrival by flipping through the pages of the book that started this investigation. It is a paper-bound tome, and so unusually light. You look through the familiar lines, the teachings of the sages. In this section, the prophet outlines his thoughts on understanding the lots. And so the twins did descend upon the land. Clad in flesh, they walked their path among the living and brought their word. Blessed was the Arachnean race to carry their rule throughout the land, transforming the land to suit their own design, for this design was pleasing to the twins. And so the twins did anoint the bloodline of Tempest to rule over a worldly kingdom. Such was their will and love and law. And so the blessed Arachnean Empire came to be. And so the law of this land became intertwined with the law of the heavens. And thus spake the elder, who lives a righteous life. He who lives a righteous life shall know eternal bliss upon the peak of the shining pillar. And thus spake the younger. He who defies the law in life shall find eternal torment at the foot of the shining pillar. What is a righteous life? The elder would not say. What is defying the law? The younger would not say. But there was no malice in this, nor was there any secret. The twins named the blessed Arachnean Empire their worldly kingdom, and thus for all eternity the shape and form of the empire shall be pleasing to them, and the laws of the empire shall be the law as given to us by the twins. Thus do we all serve the empire, and thus do we fulfill their will. The nobleman serves with the sword and rules over other estates, for such is his noble lot. The commoner labors for the good of the empire. Your eyes shift to the notes appended to these lines. Their author is unknown. Prophet Isaeus, being the first disciple of the elder, addressed the twins by their side. "What is your will?" he asked. "How does one live a righteous life in keeping with your law?" He was granted a revelation and given a reply. There can be no doubt that this is the truth, just as there can be no doubt in the doctrines that have guided the people of the blessed Arachnean Empire to the peak for more than 1,000 years. But this answer was given to the prophet in a time when the world was unlike the world of the present. The Arachnean Empire was surrounded by enemies on all sides, and many lesser races and civilizations lived among us. Powerful sorcerers fought to resist the will of the true gods, and priests of false gods were corrupting the people's souls with their profane rites. This was an age when the Arachnean Empire had no nobles of the mantle, nor any nobles of the human race, nor did it have any commoners to toil and labor and be ruled over by the good of the empire, for the good of the empire. The empire has changed drastically since the time when Prophet Isaeus was given his answer. The empire, its form, its laws, have all changed, and so our path of service to the empire and the twins must change as well. We must cast away the old answers. We must forget Isaeus and the lots. The carriage comes to a halt. It is time to put the book away. You have reached the village. The locals are ready for your arrival. There are no women or children outside, only men. They casually lean on pitchforks and scythes, as though they just happen to have them on hand. The miners remain close to their pickaxes and sledgehammers. They eye you with suspicion, waiting for you to act. And so you speak to them loudly. There is a print shop in this village. Where is it? The villagers do not answer. They only clutch harder at their mattocks and staves. Some of them reach for rocks. The peasants surround you on all sides. The champions of faith, in turn, reach for their swords. Captain Agaronim is ready to give the order to attack at the slightest provocation. But then you spot a figure up on the hill, a man with a staff dressed in white. It is Father Lennart, abbot of the temple by the silver tree. He waves to you and walks down the hill. The crowd parts before him. Brothers and sisters, have no fear. I am sure our guests from the Order of the Inquisition have come here with no ill intent. Please, good inquisitors, leave these people be. They were just trying to protect me. They don't realize that the twins' protection is the only shield I need. Come with me, my friends. I will show you what you seek. He guides you to a large house up on the hill. Inside are several printing presses. Young people dressed in white are tending to them, printing new pages, sorting them, and binding them into books. The print shop workers freeze in fear when they notice your black cassock and the silver seal on your side. Do you see this, dear brother? These are all books that teach the new faith. There is neither heresy nor apostasy here. Well, this is education, and the Patriarch of Magra has approved it. Leonard produces a scroll and shows it to you. I, Cassius, Patriarch of Magra, hereby grant Father Leonard, Abbot of the Temple of the Silver Tree, permission to study and annotate the writings of the great prophet Isacius. For it is within the lot of the priest to study the twins and interpret their will. Please understand this, brother. It is true that any layman may seek guidance from a priest, but no priest can guide every decision a person makes, for we are all endowed with free will. If the people learn more about the twins, it will be much easier for them to follow their will on their own and chart their own path to the peak of the shining pillar. Enough of this heresy. Only priests have the right to interpret the faith. So said Isacius. This is your priestly lot, by your duty and your burden to bear. But you new believers now seek to compel laymen to shoulder this burden. They have been explicitly forbidden to bear it. You are just leading people straight to the torment at the foot of the pillar, and you're saying this is how it's all supposed to be. Please, do not be so quick to blame me and our doctrine. What you have just said is also an interpretation of the lot, Captain, even though you claim it is not your burden to bear. I don't judge you at all. For anyone who seeks their love, it is only natural to seek an understanding of their law. The teachings of Fotis are not forbidden. The new faith is not a heresy, but a path to salvation. We will continue to preach our doctrine and look for other paths to the peak that have been rejected by the old faith. It saddens me to see that our teachings are still met with such fierce resistance from the clergy, even here in Magra, the birthplace of the new faith, even when the patriarchs of Archnia and Astinia have acknowledged the truth of the new faith and preach its doctrines themselves. Captain Agaronim's brow furrows. He looks at you. It is your lot to judge matters of the faith. You are the one who must decide. Well, I mean, I feel like if the leaders of society allow it, then how is it my place to intervene? Like, really? That's also me defying my lot. Leave the books alone. After a moment of silence, you tell Captain Agaronim that Father Leonard is right. According to the priestly lot, any clergyman is free to offer interpretations of the sacred texts and provide guidance to his flock. This work has been sanctioned by Patriarch Cassius. The Inquisition will not stop these books from being printed and distributed. The more the commoners and nobles learn about the twins, the easier it will be for them to follow their paths to the peak. The captain frowns in displeasure, but accepts your judgment. With a smile, Father Leonard thanks you from the bottom of his heart. You have prevented bloodshed today. Upon your return, you tell Jean that the print shop belongs to Father Leonard. As a priest, it is his right and duty before men and the gods to interpret the sacred texts and the will of the twins. The print shop in Sulmina will remain open. Jean raises her eyebrows, exasperated. Aiding heretics will only serve to guide you into heresy, Robin. Don't you understand? These people are delusional, and they're spreading their delusion throughout the world. They are guiding their flock straight to the foot of the pillar. The sooner the new faith is seen as the heresy it is, the sooner we can begin to fight them, and the more people we will save. I thought you understood that. It's terrible to imagine all those people doomed to torment at the foot of the pillar, and now their suffering is on your head as well. Inquisitor Ulrich greets you with a stone face when he learns of your decision. Those who show pity for heretics may one day become heretics themselves. You had best not show any indulgence to new believers in the future, Brother Robin. Trust me, it won't end well. Your home has been much more peaceful for the last year. The fights between Stefan and Gloria are not as fierce now, but how long will this last? Your job takes up all your time. You see your parents and siblings less and less often. Sometimes you don't even know what they are doing while you deal with the constant stream of duties. This morning you head out on urgent business. You take one step out of the gate and run into a uniformed gendarme. Robin Brante, your presence is requested at the prefecture dungeon. Taken aback, you ask what this is about. We have your brothers, Stefan and Nathan. Brante in a cell. They were arrested last night at the Steiner's Inn. They asked us to send for you. The cells in the prefecture dungeon are cold and damp. The guards lead you to the bars, and behind them you see Nathan huddled in the corner. Your younger brother is unshaven, more disheveled than usual, and reeking of wine and filth. Near the cell you see Stefan grimly sitting in a chair. You guess that the gendarmes thought it best not to put him in the same cell as his lone-born brother. Upon seeing you, Nathan lets out a whimper and Stefan cracks a bitter smile. The sheath on your brother's belt is empty. There you are at last, Robin. Have a look at our younger brother. Yesterday he got drunk in the company of some dubious fellows. They are commoners, yet they dared to surrender to pleasure. They started a brawl, wrecked the inn and harassed the waitresses. As soon as I heard, I rushed to save this drunkard from shame. Nathan cowers into the corner, horror-struck. I walked in and demanded that Nathan come with me, but his cronies wouldn't let him go. That's not true. You just grabbed me by the collar and dragged me after you. You nearly suffocated me. Shut your mouth, cur. So, brother, they seem to have some sort of sect. They all shouted defamations against the twin gods, and one of them grabbed me by the arm. I was forced to skewer this heretic with my sword. I hope a lesser death will teach him never to lay his filthy paws on a nobleman. He was just trying to talk to you, Stefan. Silence. Then the gendarmes barged in, and here we are. I have been accused of an unlawful murder. Apparently the new laws allow a commoner only if he attacks first or wields a weapon. They say that in the event of an insult, I'm supposed to file a complaint with the prefecture. So now they're going to seize my sword for a whole year. What a shame. It's all your fault, Nathan. Stefan gives the bars a furious kick. Nathan covers his face with his hands in despair. Robin, brother, you are our only hope. Get me my sword back and get us out of here, and fast. We have to bury this sordid affair as deep as we can before anyone finds out. Save our family from shame. Oh no, I weakened the Inquisition, so I can't take them. Spy network. Yeah, we have to ask Father for help. You tell Stefan that the only way to get them out of this mess is with Father's help. No, Robin. Father must not know about this. If he gets involved, we won't be able to avoid dishonoring the family. You coldly reply that after this incident, disgrace is inevitable. All that remains is to try and minimize the damage. Leaving your brothers, you go upstairs to your father's office. What happened, Robin? You give Father an account of the incident. He becomes more and more grim with every word you utter. Is this why I earned the judge's mantle? To get my own sons out of prison? I would have expected something like this from Nathan. But Stefan? I will not demean myself so they can avoid their punishment. You argue that in this case, the damage to your family's reputation will be far greater. Stefan will be publicly deprived of his sword, and Nathan will be sentenced to hard labor on the streets. I hate to admit it, but you're right, son. I'll have to swallow my pride and plead their case to the prefect. Stefan is his nephew, after all. Father gets an audience with his superior Elborn. He returns downhearted, but holding the prefect's order. Together you walk down to the dungeon and present the order to the gendarmes. Stefan Brante's sword is to be returned at once. He has not broken the law and must be freed. As for Nathan Brante, you will personally cover the damages the inn has sustained. This is no reason to keep a son of a nobleman behind bars. Seeing the prefect's seal, the gendarme nods obediently and returns Stefan's sword. Father, I knew you'd come to the rescue. I haven't really done anything shameful. We will discuss this at home. Stefan sheathes his sword reverently as Nathan is let out of the cell. The elder brother takes the younger by the scruff of his neck and pulls him to the door. Nathan staggers and shuffles along limply. The prefecture is highly displeased with the indiscreet nepotism your father took advantage of. Unsavory rumors about the Brante family creep through Anisot. Back home, father lectures Stefan. Your elderly brother objects and blames Nathan for everything. From now on, there will be no more drinking bouts or other nocturnal exploits, Nathan. Who are those rogues you've befriended anyway? Stop shaming this family. If you're so worthless, at least let others go about their business in peace. Do you understand, you blockhead? Nathan remains silent, staring despondently somewhere above him. Our reputation is fucked. Alright. Like I said, short stream. We'll be back later tonight. Oh, a new event. Tolerance of faiths greater than 5. But yeah, we'll be back later today. Until then, see you later. Bye-bye.